And we're live!
Here we go.
The best audience ever. So much better than last week. And there was a silence. I'm joking. Last week you were great as well. So, welcome everybody. Speak Up Monday here. Tropical Nomad every Monday. So come at 6 o'clock because then you can kind of move in a very comfortable way. But we go live about 6:25, 6:30. As you know, Speak Up Monday is #1 for entrepreneurism and social impact. And this is episode number 375. We haven't missed one. Come on, people. We haven't missed one. We won't miss one. And look, so tonight, my guest is a great mate. He's a great guy. He's a very tall man as well. His name's Tyrone Williams from NFT Bali Week, founder, and the Collective Solution. Put your hands together. So, we're going to be talking about different things tonight. We're going to talk a bit about his background, because many of you don't know his background, and it's phenomenal. And also about the future of NFT Bali Week, created to support, to lead the Web3 community. Some of the best, brightest brains from around the world coming into Bali for 31 days. And while they're here, not only is this knowledge share, skills exchange, and so on, but all enmeshed and supported by the magic of Bali, right? So it's a beautiful event. So if you don't know about it yet, NFT Bali Week. Make sure you just type into Google and you'll see some great pictures. But look, before we get started, on that, Mr. Tyrone Williams, can you maybe just give us a bit of an insight? Because you're half Indonesian, right, as well, which people may not realize, but you also are. So can you give us a bit of an insight, how this whole kind of crazy journey, beautiful crazy journey of, let's start with NFT Bali Week started?
I'm glad you chose the starting point because, where did it begin? I'm like, Well, my mom met my dad, No, so how did NFT Bali begin? NFT Bali was. How many of you are on Discord? Okay, how many of you spend time in the voice chats? Okay, 50% in the room are in Discord, 2 people are in the voice chats. Me and my group of friends, we were in the voice chats all day, all night during COVID. Then I moved back to Bali. I got stuck in Sydney. And I was here and I was like, I really want all of my friends to come here, right? We'd all been talking about visiting each other when the borders opened. We'd all been talking about which cities to meet in. And then I was like, I'm pretty lazy, and I want them all to come to me instead. And a week isn't long enough to experience Bali. So I thought, what if we ran a 31-day destination experience to really showcase Bali properly, to go deeper than the typical tourist traps? 2 days in Canggu, 2 days in Seminyak, 2 days in Uluwatu, and then about a total day in cars and traffic the whole way through. Yeah. You don't really get to see anything. Nope. And so we had 6 weeks to plan it, and we were just like, let's make it happen, right? So we got in touch with you, we got in touch with all the best people we could find on the island.
Tomorrow Group, bit of a plug there, Tomorrow Group.
Saved us a lot of time, heartache, and energy, for sure. And yeah, we just kind of got together, and one thing led to another, and some people thought I was crazy. Conferences are typically 3 days long, or at most a week long. But for me, going to a conference for 3 or 4 days, you meet a bunch of people, it's very surface level, and I wanted people to go deeper. That's something you like to say too.
You got to go deep. The gold is deep, the oil is deep, go deep.
And so to get that depth of experience, people need shared experiences. They need to go through shared challenges together. They need to be able to see each other in different circumstances, right? If everybody's in a suit and they're all there to transact, it's a very different outcome to if you go to a workshop, you learn something, but then afterwards you go to a nightclub together and you're hanging out at 4 a.m. drinking tequila, and then you take them up to the mountains and you see what they're like in nature. You see many more sides to a person, right? Not just the front they wish to put on when they're doing business. And so it turns into, so far, I mean, we don't have enough data. It's only been 2 years, but I like to say lifelong friendships. Because a lot of the people that are meeting, it has this effect, right? We had a couple of people sponsor us. They came. They extended the trip another month. And now they're going to go back to Singapore for 4 days and come and live next to me for another 6 weeks. Right? And so it's turning into part of the greater vision which comes next. We'll get into that probably a little bit later. But it's like a little experiment. Now we're all living next to each other and doing some interesting things, and it becomes much more powerful when you pull the resources, the inspiration, the learnings. You might learn something, give me like a synopsis, and I'm like, oh, okay. Let's go a little bit deeper.
I love it. And look, just while we're here, Sister Ayu, if we can get some more chairs for the guys just coming in, that would be great. So they can be part of it. Love our studio wants to be part of it, not so far away. So look, on this question about depth, right? So, and this is the bit which I think people don't really understand. So for me personally, as you know, I grew up for about 17 years in 2 children's homes in London, right? And it taught me everything about people, about how different nationalities, ideologies, ways of being can come together around a single purpose and do incredible things, right? And that's the main thing it taught me, which I'm so happy for. And that underpins everything which I do. That's why making a difference is at the heart and soul of everything which I do. So if I were to ask you, what is at the heart and soul of you? What would you say with the light to sharing some of the early years that people may not know?
So not many people know this, but I've been homeless 3 times in my life. And from like the outside looking in, people look at me, then they look at who my mom is, they look at who my stepfather is, and they kind of go, oh, he must have had it really easy, right? But being through homelessness taught me a lot of interesting things. But one of the earliest misconceptions that I needed to fix or learn about was that I thought money would make people happier. But through relationships I was exposed to, thanks to my mom and my stepfather, I noticed some of the wealthiest people in the world haven't got an ounce of happiness in them. And then some of the people I was friends with while we were homeless together, it was joy every day, right? So I started looking deeper at a lot of different things. And for me, it wasn't until someone gave me an opportunity. I remember walking around Sydney with 200 resumes. I handed out 198. I had 2 left. And I couldn't get a job in my own country, in my own city, without an education, without a network, without someone to help me. And a guy named Daniel Tonkin, still great friends now, a decade later, he kind of looked at me, went, I don't know, there's something about him. He's probably not going to last long, but let's give him a shot, right? And it was a commission-only role, so it was 0 risk to him, and I turned out to be the best performer he'd ever had in 8 years. And so, for me, a part of it's like, well, how many other people out there have a lot of greatness to give if just given a little bit of direction, a little bit of a chance, right? So that's one of the things. The second thing, at the core of who I am, I moved around a lot. I was never in the same school for more than 2 years. And so I'm really called to the Indonesian, especially here in Bali, the word desa means village. As you're driving around, you might see entering Desa Cemagi or Desa Perenan or whatever, right? And there's something really beautiful about these villages or desas. I remember going to a warung by the beach, and I bought food from one of them. And then I realized one of my local friends owned the warung 3 doors down. And I was like, oh no, I should have bought from you. He goes, don't worry about it. We're all one desa. And I went, that's beautiful. And that just kind of reaffirmed a belief of mine or a vision of mine that I've never had much of a closed-knit group or community or family or school or something to tap into. I look at people who've had friendships that have lasted decades and, they've got all these inside jokes and they've got all these things that if shit hits the fan, they can kind of go call a friend and someone will help them out. And I've never had that, and I think I've been finding all the lone wolves, the people looking for a tribe, the people who want that alongside with me with shared values to create a digital desa.
There you go. Ooh. Oh, love that. Yeah. Oh, man.
I think that's the two things that come up most.
Yeah, digital desa. I got a few goosebumps coming up. Love that. Oh. So then, Bali, Indonesia, you're this kid growing up in Australia. You're not like the other kids, right? I lived, as you know, for 25 years in Sydney, so I know Sydney really well, right? The people, the culture, the mindset, and all the rest of that. So, how did that feel? Like, if someone's watching here now, what quality, out of all the qualities that you can think of, what quality do you think that whole experience honed, sharpened, and gifted you that is one of the prime drivers of how and why you do what you do now in the digital desa?
That's a great question. First, I thought you were going to say, like, what skills or values, and I was like, ooh. But now, what did it give me? What drives me? I think at the core of it, I'm really proud of being here in Bali. I'm really proud of being Indonesian. I think the rest of the world doesn't quite understand what's happening here or doesn't quite see it. On one side, we've got this beautiful brand of Bali, which is like, it's a great holiday destination, and you go there to surf, do yoga, and that's it, right? And I speak to a lot of my really well-connected VC friends and founders. They're like, why are you in Bali? You should go to like Dubai or Singapore or like, go to London. And I'm like, you'd be very surprised, right? I think you had a guest here when you did the raising money panel. And there was that VC from Dubai, and he made the same observation as me. It's actually easier to raise money in Bali than it is in Dubai. Because in Dubai, that's what everyone's there for. So everyone's kind of like on guard. They're like expecting it. They're holding you back, right? But in Bali, you'll meet someone on that beach or in a yoga class, and it turns out to be exactly the investor you're looking for. And because you've now met them on a personal level. And so what drives me, I think, this is a more recent realization. It's crystallizing more and more. It's that, when I was younger, I just wanted freedom for me. I wanted financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, relationship freedom, creative freedom. But I realized true freedom is to be able to experience all those things with my friends, with whoever's going to be my family in the future, to be able to kind of, there's this beautiful experience I get to go up to in the mountain every 4 to 6 weeks. It's very much invite only, so I won't even say the name. But we get to go up there, and every time I'm up there, I'm like, wow, I really wish this person, that person, this person was here. And so then I spend the whole next month thinking about how am I going to encourage this person to drive 2.5 hours up into the mountains not knowing what's up there, right? And that's kind of the most fulfilling thing to me, to see someone for the first time see that same sunrise that just took my breath away, to see it on someone else is beautiful. So I think that's a large factor for why I'm such an advocate for coming and spending some time in Bali and just experiencing it all.
It's a beautiful collective mindset you have, right? Which is this mindset of giving people a shot, of bringing people together, and then taking them on immersive experiences which have a profound effect or can have a profound effect on them, which goes back to the collective again. Hence the collective solution, right? So I'm just putting words in your mouth. I don't know if it's true, but it's what's coming up. So for those people here who are more interested, and that's okay, by the way, in the VC, you mentioned VCs. Maybe they've got a project, an NFT-inspired project, and they're wondering about funding and wondering about VCs, and the market for the VC market is closing. It's becoming more particular, more difficult to access, right? So if there were 3 maybe top tips right, that you could give to any NFT project out there right now, which may be in the audience as we speak. Quantum, I'm sure you guys have already raised the money already, but maybe not, right? We have a few more. So Quantum Temple, little plug there. So yeah, so what would be the 3 kind of key pieces of advice that you would give to those projects trying to raise capital right now in this environment?
Some people believe it's really hard to raise money in this market right now. Yeah. Some people realize the money's still there. And the difference is, as you said, VCs are a little bit more selective now, right? Because I think everybody's kind of wisened up. NFTs are just a tool, and tools require a level of mastery. And 98% of the space right now, they're not business owners or founders, they're marketers and brokers. And they're young, typically, because most of the people who had time to figure out what an NFT was didn't already have massive businesses, or like if I take you as an example, you're involved with Tomorrow, you do SpeakuP Monday, you've got kids, you know, you're not going to spend 40 hours, 60 hours, 100 hours like I did in COVID because I had nothing else to do to figure it out. Yeah. And so the first wave that we've seen of money being put into it was like, okay, there's this NFT thing, the monkey pictures went from like $200 to $400,000. Let's just throw money at the next project that seems like it's got good branding and like they could maybe execute. But the roadmaps from yesteryear are no longer sufficient, right? For people to say, we're going to build a game, they could raise tons of money before. Now it's like, if you say you're building a game, they want to see like, okay, have you built a game before? Because everybody understands building a game, there's like, 99 point fucking whatever % of games completely fail, right? There's a really small percentage of games that succeed. So why invest in an NFT project that's going to build a game if they've never built a game? So that's one thing. The thing for me is, let's take a step back for a second. Anybody who's thinking of launching anything to do with NFTs, if you can do it without an NFT and it's a smoother user experience, don't use an NFT. So if your idea can be done without an NFT, don't complicate the user journey. Right? If I heard a project the other day, Jason Williscroft, you know him. He's building something that makes it so beautiful and so easy to give groups of people benefits at your business, kind of like an affiliate program or whatever. And his focus has been, how easy is the user experience going to be? The first step is you make an account. The second step is you pay. That's it. I'm like, what? You don't have to do discount codes. You don't have to click a special link. No, you just pay, because then the back end verifies it all and you get your cash back. I'm like, okay, that's beautiful. That solves a pain point. So the first step is, if you're going to do NFTs, make sure there's a real use case. And typical use cases that I think are really interesting now is like, you could create an NFT for Rob's group that gets access to all your businesses and all your friends' businesses, and that could be powerful. Right? So my collection specifically, there's only 125. It's invitation only. I want you to have one. Rob's going to have one. You're going to have one?
All right, fine. You twisted my arm. Fine, I'll have one.
This is recorded.
And so, edit it out,
Yeah, so
it's live.
The main concept of what mine does is very simple, right? Rob has businesses, offerings, services, things that he can bring to the table. So does everyone else in our 125. They're all founders or investors in some way. Very simple. We're going to offer our benefits from the team, but now if you meet another person who holds that, you offer benefits too. And what that looks like in the future is, if you have a website, they just connect it, they get a preferred treatment of some kind, right? And so the first tip is make sure it's useful and solves a real problem. The second tip is, I think, lead with building a business that you really understand. Add it to what you're already good at. Don't like jump into a new niche because it's the next hot flavor of the month, right? I'm seeing a bunch of people wanting to get into ordinals now, and if anybody doesn't know what an ordinal is, it's just an NFT on the Bitcoin network, right? And so all of a sudden, there's all this money being laundered through that, and people are like, oh, that's a great business model. I'm like, it's even worse than an ETH NFT because it's even harder to use. So why are you doing it? Right? I think that's the main 2 tips.
That's good.
And I think that's sufficient. I don't know if I can get a third one there.
Yeah, no, look, that was merely a suggestion. So now there'll be people here. I spoke to one of them. I won't name them. And she was saying, look, Rob, like I still don't fully get my head around NFTs, right? As in like a use case and so on. So in very simple terms, right? Because whenever one uses non-fungible token, that's blah, 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 people go, right? They're already gone, right? And the idea is that we want people to use them. But if you don't understand them, the chances are you're not going to use them, right? So a really simple explanation, if I ask you what is an NFT, what would you say?
It's just a unique identifier. It can have artwork, it doesn't need to be. It's just a digital contract that's on the blockchain. It's immutable. When it's immutable, it means it can't be changed. And once it's out there, it's out there. There's no centralized entity that's going to be able to turn it down. Right, which is, I think, is really important because I'm really big on free speech, independence, transparency. I think there's a little bit too much that happens behind closed doors where someone makes a decision for someone else. You know, I've had people get their LinkedIn accounts deleted after 8 years of building a profile, and all of a sudden, overnight, they can't make any money. Right, so no one's really done decentralized social media well enough yet, but those are some of the applications that really help.
So one of the things that really helped me, and by the way, I'm not an NFT expert. You know, do I even have an NFT? I think I do. Just right there you go.
He's about to get one.
I know. Maybe I shouldn't have admitted that on camera. Damn it! Another guy speaking about the NFT community. He's got like one NFT. Right. Here's the thing. So the way that all this Web3 was explained to me by maybe it was Bruno Calabretta, maybe, and you know it was like, look, Web 1. For some people my vintage and older, it might be 1 or 2, all right, is, you know, basically read only, right? So you go on a computer and you can only read it, right? That was Web 1. Web 2 is read and interact. So like Facebook, you know, YouTube, Instagram, I can read, I can post, I can comment on other people's posts, right? So then Web 3 is you can, not only can you read, not only can you interact, but now you can own. So now you can create your own Instagram, your own Facebook, your own whatever you want to do on there, but now you own it. So now instead of, say, an Instagram or a platform who's basically making money from your attention, right? From your usage of the platform, then monetizing it in the back. Now you get to create something, own something, and now you can gain directly with your, in your case, community, you can all gain. So it doesn't go to a third party, it goes to you, should you choose it. So Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. Is it accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the ability to own stuff online, right, and to verify it. But there's Web 3, there's crypto, and then there's NFTs, right? And they all have their own specific kind of use cases. Tokens are interesting. If you can build an ecosystem that's big enough that they're going to use the token, great. But then there's legal issues that come up, right? Like, what happens to local fiat currencies if everybody... Imagine if Canggu had its own Canggu coin, what that would do to the local economy here. It would start taking value away from the rupiah into these coins. So there's a really interesting conversation around regulation now. It's like, how do we regulate this in a way where, okay, we bring crypto people here, they spend their crypto, but what if everybody just jumps ship into crypto? What happens to IDR? What happens to the reserves here? So it's delicate, and make no mistake, I really want regulation. I want regulatory clarity. I don't know how to do it. People much smarter than me are working on that. I'm just the people guy. But yeah, it's definitely, it's a tool, and I think it takes, you know, what was it? It's like 10,000 hours to master a skill. I think it's similar with using a new tool. Right, a person picking up an axe for the first time versus a lumberjack who's been doing it for the past 2 decades, it's going to chop a tree down very differently, right? And so we're yet to see the meaningful use cases that I think we will see in the next decade. And we're going to be here at the foundation of all of it.
Love it. So now, for those of you who tune into SpeakuP Monday, know that we have a question session, right? When I'm doing interviews, we have 2 great co-hosts, Bhavna Parihar and Natalie Bonacek, who are wonderful, wonderful women, wonderful people. But I like to change things up as much as possible all the time. So if anyone has a question, raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. So that may not be now, it is now. No, take it. So what we'll do, Brother Guzman, if we grab that microphone, Or are you see, even the staff are like, it's too early to ask questions. They're like hanging back, taking like a drink. It's like, questions now.
We like to keep it interactive.
But it's good, because that way as well, we don't lose people, right? Because by asking questions, it's all about the collective, right? So the question that this beautiful man, Graham, is about to ask is something that probably someone else has as a question the same as well. So by him asking it, saves them asking it, right? Okay, over to you, brother. We'll just wait for a few seconds for them to mic you up. Yep, you're good.
Okay, am I in the room? Still, am I there?
Not yet. We're waiting to see. When I do it earlier, catch everyone out. Try now.
1, 2, testing. I'm on. All right, so I'm really sorry. I've got a 3-part question.
A 3-part question.
Okay, let's
God
go.
dang.
Are you gonna like give it to me in 3 parts, or are you gonna go like give me the whole thing?
Oh, so I wasn't in the room. Okay, I've got a 3-part question. I'm really sorry. So I'm really a big fan of origin stories, and I was just listening to you coming off the streets, and what I was wondering is, what were you selling when you worked for Daniel Tonkin, and what do you think made you the best performer? What set you aside from the rest of his team? And the third question is, which you don't have to answer, can I come up the mountain with you?
All right, so maybe do one question at a time. Ichi, feel free to swap mics whenever you're ready. Okay.
So question 1, what was I selling? Personality.
Yeah.
The physical thing that I was actually selling was perfume.
Okay.
But true sales is never about the product itself, it's about the emotional connection.
Sure.
And I think that's the part of what made me pretty good at what I did. It didn't take long for me to get it. Most people, it took 2 to 4 weeks to get it. They had to memorize a script. I couldn't memorize a script. I just didn't want to. I just wanted to meet people.
Right.
And then I would talk to them. I would ask them their name. I'd be like, wow, cool stuff. And I just was so excited to be working after being homeless for so long, that meeting people who would actually talk to me was amazing. Because I don't know if you know, but when you're homeless, the biggest problem is not getting food. It's getting people to want to interact with you as a normal human being. So I was just excited. So that played a part. The second thing the second question was what set me apart. I think, one, I was hungrier, literally hungrier. Most people would work, they would work and then go home, and they'd have their family and their food, and their mom would cook for them. I would go home, and I had Wheat Bix without milk, just Wheat Bix and water 3 times a day. And so when I was out working, I would get given food, so I would just work longer.
And I imagine you had a huge sense of gratitude as well.
Absolutely. I was just, it kind of came through me, not from me. And so I was more resilient, because when it was 2:00 and nobody had made a sale, everybody would start giving up and blaming their surroundings. Oh, it's a bad site, or this. For me, I'm like, well, I would be on the street anyway, and I wouldn't have made any more money anyway, so let me just keep going, right? And so when most people would work 4 days, I would work 7. When most people would go on a road trip, we used to do these things where we'd go away for a week, and we'd stay at a random place. And for me, everybody else is like, oh, this bed is shit. I'm like, I got a bed, And so I would go on a road trip with these people. We'd come back on the Sunday. They'd all go home. I'd get back in the van and go to another road trip somewhere else. And so just the volume of work put in was just much higher. And when shit hits the fan, even in Web3, number go down for the last year and a half, right? Everybody's like, oh no! I'm like, I'm in Bali, and so it's just resilience. And number 3, can you come up to the mountain with me? I mean, those were good questions. So you're like 50% of the way there.
You don't have to answer.
We'll talk after this, I'm sure.
Okay, epic. Thank
Graham,
you so much. Yeah, Graham, that's right.
Nice to meet you,
That was
Graham.
an amazing answer. Thank you so much.
All right. So another question. Is that mic working again? Yeah. Cool. Then if you grab the one from here, Hadi, the one in the Graham's hand, give that one to me. Yeah. Cool. Beautiful. Cool. And then the other mic is there. Cool. Another question. Over here, Carol. Yeah. Great. So, all right. So why we move the mic to Carol. So understand that right now we're live on 3 platforms, which is Instagram Live, YouTube Live, and Facebook Live. But it's so much more fun if you're in Bali to come in person. We have an amazing studio audience here, and anything from 20 to 150, right? People come. But here's the thing, like if the topic for some reason kind of touches you in a powerful way, you got to come, because it's more likely, no disrespect to our guest, but it's more likely that there's someone here that you're supposed to meet, because quite often the person that you would like to meet to take you forward, either business or personal, is quite often sitting right next to you, but you don't know because you don't speak to them, right? So this is an opportunity to interact with people directly, and magic often happens. I was about to say always, but I'll go for often. We're live TV. Magic often happens. All right, Carol, over to you.
So first of all, I really wanted to commend you on your eloquence, on your wisdom, and on your humility. It's very, very, very touching. My question is around money, actually. How do you make money? How do you sustain a living working in an industry that is so completely innovative and that virtually 99% of the world population doesn't understand?
Great question. I preface this with people pay for value, is what's everybody knows. My understanding of value is people pay for access, status, sex, fun, education, something new. So if you're able to provide that, people will always pay, whatever industry you're in. Me specifically, my community is an invite-only community for founders. Founders typically have 4 main problems. They need access to capital. They need access to good advisory and consulting. They need access to high-quality talent to actually build the thing. And then they need access to distribution networks. Right? So we do the first 3 really well, and the last one we're working on. Beyond that, by nature of having a crypto community, and I'm living here in Bali, where real estate yields are some of the highest yields around the world, when people want to diversify out of crypto to hedge some of that risk, we make the right introductions, and we essentially broker those relationships to get them into Bali real estate, right? So that's 5 verticals so far. For those of you who are founders yourselves, you might go, ooh, that's a lot of different things to be competing on. We'll get to that. And the 6th one is events, right? NFT Bali is a destination experience that happens annually, but I also run monthly events, and I also host weekly workshops. The weekly workshops are free. The monthly events are donation-based and opt-in, invitation only as well. You can apply, but typically it's by invitation. And then NFT Bali is through sponsorships and ticket sales. Yeah.
Great question as usual, Carol.
Great question, by the way. And I love the scarf.
Yeah, Carol is an incredible.
How do you know everybody's name?
Incredible French woman who's just stylish, elegant, eloquent,
this guy
very
knows
opinionated, which I love. Strong woman, love it. Yes, I do, mostly. So
the whole island. I thought I knew like a lot of people. This guy knows the whole island. I love it. Amazing.
So here's the thing, right? One of the reasons why I get a great feeling from you, always have, is your values, right? Which Carol is alluded to. So just for everybody here, this is completely not related to NFT or crypto or anything, but I don't care, but it's relevant to what I'm about to say. So who knows a guy called Dr. John DeMartini? Raise your hand. Who doesn't know a guy called Dr. John DeMartini? Raise your hand.
Read his book.
Okay, good. All right. So Dr. John DeMartini. So everyone knows what a martini is, I'm sure, right? Add a DE before it. Put then a doctor before that and John after that. Dr. John DeMartini. He has a free online values test, right? So you can just Google his name, Dr. John DeMartini values test, right? And there's 13 questions. Each question is preceded by a video which explains what the question is about. after you go through this process, you come up with what your values are. It's a really powerful exercise to do because your values also determine your life. What you value most, you become. Right? So really valuable thing to do. So how does this relate to our guest today? So as Carol mentioned, 99% of the world doesn't understand NFTs. Maybe it's 98%. I don't know. We're split hairs over 1%. But the reason why I have you on the show and why I respect you and honor you in a strong, powerful way is because of your values. So even though I don't understand NFTs fully, I know I can pick up the phone and ask you. And you'll tell me the truth because you have ethics and you operate in a certain way that I find comfortable and I find very useful for people. So on the topic of values, there are people here, other entrepreneurs, maybe other founders. We have, who do we have here? Mandala Group, Mandala Club over here, some guys from there. We have Quantum Temple. We have Marlo Bandam and a bunch of other wonderful people. So here's the question. So what values do you think are incredibly important for people entering this Web3 space in the area that you look for? What are the most, because there's people here who are going to be like, this guy Ty, I like him, I want to go and join NFT Bali. So what values must they have? Do you look for, do you aspire to for them to have, for you to say, you know what, let's go?
That's a big one. I'm going to start with one and see what else comes. How many of you have heard of Ido Portal? Nobody? Oh, of course it's you two. Of course it's you two. These two are like amazing. You got to meet all of them. God, so Ido Portal is he did capoeira for 17 years. He learned in university about like anatomy, and then he did all the dance, break dance, bunch of different things. And then he did something called the movement. And essentially, instead of having a single discipline, you got to explore more than what you do every day. You got to achieve mastery of mastery itself. Whoa. And so what I learned from him, I guess I could say he taught me virtually. What I learned from him is if you can find someone who is a master, who is willing to teach you, it matters little what they're going to teach you. It matters more that a master is teaching you, okay? So for me, I look for, or something important to me is when I meet people is how hungry are they for mastery of themselves and their craft? How hard do they strive for excellence? Because there's a lot of people who will just do something to get it done. And then there's a lot of people, there's a really small group of people who will do something and then they'll improve upon it, and then they'll improve upon it. And there's almost like this eternal dissatisfaction to the quality of their work being put out. Right? It just no matter how good it is, like even for NFT Bali, people are like, wow, this mountain party was one of the best nights of my life in the past 5-10 years. And I'm like, that's amazing. In my mind, I'm like, here's like the 5-10 different ways we could have improved this experience. And that's the same with everything that I do. When I was in sales, it was like, I did this sale, I was like, oh, I could have upsold them. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? And it's not like I'm never grateful or I don't enjoy. I'm grateful, I enjoy, I appreciate, and I get it out there, but I'm always looking to improve. That's the first one. The second one is, who do you do it for? There are people who do it just for themselves, just for money, just to improve their life. And then there are people who do things to serve. That's why we get along. There's so much of what Brother Rob does is to serve community, to serve the environment, to serve people around him. And that's a big one for me as well. And then number 3, I think, if we stick to 3, otherwise we'll end up going on this topic for a long time, is like, how honest are you willing to be? Right? And I really like that about Web3 as well. Right? Because if you look at our NFT collection, you can see who's bought it, you can see where the money's gone to our team, and you can see how we've spent it and when and why, right? So for me, it's like, you gotta be willing to, if I ask you a question and you're not willing to tell me the truth, No, sometimes it's painful, right? Like I get into like deep conversations with my friends sometimes, and I ask them why they do something, and the reason starts to come up, and they get a little bit emotional, and they cry. I'm like, okay, this person's willing to like bear it all, right? They're not hiding something. Those are probably the main three.
Love it, man. Ooh, man, this is deep, isn't it? I love it. I think it's great. So,
I knew I was coming on Speak Up Monday, and you like to go deep.
We gotta go deep. The oil is deep. Now, who else has a question? The microphone's over there. We're going to spin it back over this way. Wonderful. Remember, if you have a question, there's no question that's too dumb or too stupid or none of that. That's all the crap in your head.
I have a question quickly first as well.
Yeah.
Before your question.
Oh,
Where
okay.
did you get this outfit?
Yeah.
This is cool.
Mandala
You walked past
Club.
before? I was like,
It looks good.
Not going to share it because then you're going to have to say it.
but we'd look so cool. I'll get a different color.
So Ty just asked this beautiful woman, where did she get her outfit from? She refused to answer on the grounds that he'll have one too.
I would
Failed the interview.
I could rock it.
All right. Next question.
Hi, Tyrone. I'm going to embarrass Robert a tiny bit first because
That's
you're
okay.
right about the name thing, except that I've known you for nearly 3 years and you have always called me Caroline and my name's actually Catherine. I'm so sorry. I love you so much. I knew it wouldn't be that
I
crippling.
thought I was using the wrong name, but I thought, you know what? Just keep going.
I know, and in fairness,
She hasn't said anything. Just keep going.
I should have corrected you when you weren't live to like thousands of people. So sorry. Anyway, now we've got that cleared up. You're fabulous and really, really amazing to hear you speak, Tyrone. I agree exactly with what was said before, that you're so eloquent and your body language, and I'm not surprised you engage people how you do. We're gripped, it's amazing. You're also one of the last people I expect to be like one of these NFT guys. You're so earthy and ethereal and organic and humble, and so it's really refreshing. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a bit. I was singing karaoke last night. My question...
Where was my invite?
Sorry. If I don't go up the mountain, you don't come to karaoke.
Deal maker.
Me and Graham are on the mountain team. My question is one that I've always felt foolish about. So you made a comment about stick to probably what you're good at is a bit more sensible than veering off. However, I have horrendous FOMO about this world. And it frightens me because I'm so not techie, and also every time people talk about it, it just goes past my head with a whooshing noise. But I'm just worried that I'm going to miss out and then I'll regret it, like buying land in Bali during COVID, all the various things we kind of wish we'd done. So my question to you is, for somebody who really knows nothing, is in the 99.9%, but maybe had a small amount of money to invest, where do you start? What do we do as people who have no clue?
Great question. I think there's a lot of people who feel similar. Before I answer, let me ask you a question. Do you prefer to outsource things you're not an expert at, or do you enjoy learning about things?
Latter.
The latter. In that case, I have communities to send you to, which are free of charge. To get in, you'll need to mint a student ID. There's a 30 days of NFTs free course that they'll email to you, because everybody does email. And throughout that 30 days, you'll learn all the basics. Then you'll get a student ID, which will be your first NFT. It'll be free, which will give you access to the community, where they have discussions, they have education. They're always ahead of the curve, and it'll be a great home. And if you're in Bali, you probably enjoy philosophy, stoicism. Do you?
Now I do. I don't think I did before I moved here. I'm now spiritual as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, lots of things have happened.
So the leader of that community is one of our close friends. Are you familiar with Seneca the Younger? Great Stoic philosopher, amazing. He named himself Zeneca, which I always thought was fantastic. And he's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful human being. And I'll make sure that you get in there after this.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
That's where I would start.
And look, because this is called Catherine, because this is called Speak Up Monday, Destination Indonesia, right? It is an unapologetic way for people outside of Indonesia to get a really good understanding of the types of people, mentalities, ideologies, which are actually here on the ground. Indonesian as well as foreigner. So we do both. So in lieu of that, I want you, Catherine, to basically tell us a little bit about Mandala Club. And no pressure, just live, all right? And then we're going to choose Quantum Temple, so she better come back, Marlo. And I want her to explain a little bit about Quantum Temple. But this is good because people then get to know what kinds of people are here and what they're doing, right? So over to you. We'll get the camera onto you in a second and tell us like a minute or so of what Mandala Club is. What is it trying to achieve?
You're very kind, thank you. It will be short and snappy. So Mandala Club actually originated in Singapore. They took on what was the Straits Club a few years ago, and now it's Mandala Club. It's been a fantastic success. And really, ultimately, Elena sitting next to me is the membership director of Mandala Club Singapore. Nicole's actually moving over here to join us here in Bali. She's Singapore-based too, and Charles behind me is also on my team. In a nutshell, it's just they've provided this fantastic membership platform with a real strapline of we don't take ourselves too seriously. There's a cultural event calendar every month. There's networking opportunities. It's for a community of like-minded individuals to talk about projects, investment, founding. But it is, as I say, let's not take it too seriously. Let's just find a space where you just pull the right people together. So a lot of what you said really resonates. And on the back of that, actually, the founders started really here in Bali with their holidays and then real estate and life and really immersed here and loved it. And so this is the second club. Ultimately, we hope we'll actually expand beyond Bali and Singapore. We hope to open Q1 next year. The premises are just opposite Miss Fish in Barawa, and we'll do tours as of next week. We can take people around. Yeah. So we are acquiring our founding membership base as we speak. The first 300 members make up that founding membership base. I can give a lot more information about it all after this. But we just want to pull community together, but to give people a sophisticated space to work in where they can really enjoy being with like-minded humans.
Love it.
In a nutshell.
Thank you very much. So we're going to pass the microphone around. Marla, you want to speak for Quantum Temple? Yeah. Oh, we've got the crew there. All right. So we're going to pass that mic along. Right now, so yeah, I know. So Quantum Temple is another project, right? By the way, no one knew I was going to do this. Like I said, I like just to mess with the system because that's how it works. So Brother Marlo, who's been on the show a number of times, an incredible man. He has, I mean, the Bali archives, one of the most well-known, knowledgeable fellas about Bali. Deep into the culture of Bali. I love this man. And also Stick on Bali, the university, and so much more. So one of the guys who has orchestrated some of the biggest, most important art collections and art shows in Indonesia as well. But anyway, incredible guy. Marlo, tell us a little bit about Quantum Temple for those who don't know. So what is it? What is it trying to do? What help does it require? Support?
Definitely, but first of all, I have to say big respect to you, Tyrone, and Brother Rob, for, having us all here, and as you just mentioned before, you never know who you're going to meet, you never know who you're going to reach out, and I didn't know why, from all the clothes that I had just to choose Sydney University, not knowing that Tyrone, you've been homeless for 3 times there, and then Rob,
25 years
25 years there. Why, I didn't know, but I am certain that if my daughter, who is currently studying there, gets the 10% of what both of you are doing, I'm a happy father. Thank you. So when we talk about Quantum Temple, we're talking about this collective effort, as a Web3 platform that yearns, that aspires to preserve cultural heritage. When we talk about the cultural heritage, it's the tangible and the intangible cultural heritage, which concerns not only Bali, but all of the culture custodians all around the world. So tonight, we have Linda Adami, she's our founder. And then we have Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Say hi to everyone. And then also we definitely have Meiti. Quantum Temple is built by all of these personalities that definitely have the experience, the expertise, but more importantly, the heart. Just like what you said, the values that we are, the custodians, we are the collaborators to ensure that what we, have been, what we revere as our cultural identity, keeps into the future. So Quantum Temple, once again, I like when I talk about the archives. I told Rob about this, that with the Bali 1920 archive, we're using the present, to retrieve the past. But with this, Web3, the blockchain, the crypto, the NFTs, we're foreseeing the future, to save the past. And for me, I play such a small part, in this, engagement with, number of key personalities all over the world. But when Quantum Temple, met us, I said that, the appropriate and correct way for us to do this together, is involve the Balinese. And that what has Quantum Temple done, not only in Bali, but also in Peru and Panama. And we have produced 11 NFTs concerning the rituals, the performing arts, the philosophy, that are thriving in Bali. And when we talk about NFTs as a token, it's just the medium of how people, can be more, as you said, Tyrone, be more interactive, can spend more time in Bali, be part of the community, enrich the community, share knowledge, and show empathy to what we have all around the world. So that is our, values, yeah? And when it comes to the money that has been generated, definitely, as what you're doing, 40% goes, to the producers, but 40% goes back to the community, to the culture custodians, the culture keepers. And then the money doesn't just go into their pockets to buy the next electric motorcycle. They have to propose, a program in terms of how they use the money. And with these programs, we want to generate, secondary sales of the NFTs that can generate perpetual income to the communities. And it's also a transfer of knowledge on how the Balinese would also grasp the future in terms of safekeeping, what we have been revering as the morning of the world, the last paradise, But we do want, people to understand that Bali is also, Bali Singkenka, no worries. As long as we come together, and I do believe that you must work together to create beauty. Thank you.
Brother Marlo, thank you. Round of applause, guys. Thank you very much. Love that. Woo! Bandom. So look, what's the time? We've got time. Good. So, as you know, none of this is scripted. We just go with it, right? Which I find is a beautiful way to do it. So what you've heard are one use case for NFTs for someone who was also wondering a question that was raised, right? What are the use cases, right? So what you've heard is Quantum Temple is using NFTs to preserve culture around the world, ancient civilizations around the world. Over here, I was invited to one of their launches, at the beautiful temple, water temple in Ubud. And, they're backed by, tourism, Santiago Uno, and so on and so on. They've got some great people involved. And I love what you guys are doing. I'm really glad that you came tonight and that people heard a little bit about what you're doing, right? When it comes to Mandala Club, Catherine, I love the way you just called me out. Marina, my beloved, is probably going to laugh at me when I get home and say, Rob, I told you it was Catherine. I'm like, I know, but I don't know what came over me. Right, so you heard about Mandala Club. I'm sure there's some other NFT projects here that we can talk about. But look, I guess as we begin to kind of come to a close for this session, there's two things really, which will go on for about 5 or 10 minutes, right? Looking forward, so the title of today is about, immersive experiences, right? It's about immigration. It's about investment into Indonesia, Bali, Indonesia, right? So when you look at the future, forward-facing now, on the future for NFT Bali, but also the wider future, embracing Web3 and so on, what maybe 2 or 3 musings or wishes come up for you that you'd like to share?
I've got a vision. I dream about it. I dream about waking up in my beautiful villa, stepping outside, and there's another beautiful villa, and that man's in it, back there, probably with Courtney.
Adrian,
and then
Blackwood, Courtney.
A little bit further down, there's another villa with another one of my great friends, far enough away that, if I want my privacy, I get my privacy. But it's going to be like a locus, like a hub, like a HQ, like a resort. And I find that the reason for that for me is the closer in proximity you are to people, the greater the impact you can all individually make, right? It's like I can do a Zoom call with you once a week, or we can have one meeting a week, but be around each other throughout the week, right? And the impact is going to be completely different. And so that's one of them, and that's going to be kind of where people land for the first time in Bali. We're going to show them an experience that's not typically available to a tourist, right? They're going to land, and their first impression of Bali is going to be in our resort with the right people. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be powerful. We're going to be able to do tremendous things. That's one of them. The second one is I feel like if done correctly, and it's going to take a lot of help, but I feel like if done correctly, we can really showcase the talent that Indonesia has. Because for anybody who's hired in the US or in Australia, I'll use Australia because I'm Australian and Indonesian, so I can say these things. When I hire or I work with Australians, man, I'm about to dig a hole here.
Do it. Dig the hole. I already dug one. Her name is Caroline Catherine.
I preface this with saying I understand generalizations can be dangerous, but I'm going to generalize. And I'm going to use construction as the example because I feel like it's the most obvious and everybody will get it immediately. And I've worked in construction in Australia. So in Australia, the minimum wage to work as a laborer is like $25, $30 an hour, okay? They'll start work at 7, they'll complain after 12, they'll really try to want to leave by 1, and they'll be drinking on site by 2, and they'll definitely be gone by 3. In Indonesia, they live on site, a lot of them, right? And even on a day off, they're grateful to work and they want to get it done. They feel like, well, we got nothing else to do. Let's just keep building. And it's beautiful. They're joyful. They're happy. Nobody's complaining. And they're paid, what is it, $10 to $15 an hour? Someone correct me if I'm, a day, sorry. Huge difference in what you're paying for and what you're getting. The attitude is completely different too. There is a grumble in Australia. Oh, I gotta do the thing. Oh, my life's so hard. Here it's yes, I get to do and I get to build and I get to create, right? That's the first thing. I really want to showcase that. And even with sales, right? I remember a big lesson for me was someone doesn't get a sale in Australia, they get upset at the client, they get upset, Then there are people here in the streets selling tissue, not door to door or at a shopping mall, but car window to car window. And foreigners can be rude to them. Often. I see it and it hurts my heart. They'll just keep smiling. On to the next window. Right? And so the rest of the world doesn't see that. And especially in Web3, unfortunately, we have a little bit of a bad reputation in Web3. Web3 NFT-related or token-related projects out of Indonesia are scams, they're not high quality, whatever. But that's just not true either. right? And so it comes back down to that that question you asked me before. What do I want to do? I want to give like opportunity, right? I want to provide a little bit of an opportunity for someone who wants it, someone who's hungry, to get after it and take it. And I think the barrier to entry can be lowered and lowered and lowered over the next couple of years, where anybody in Indonesia with an internet connection, which I know basically everybody has, because everybody has a phone, right? They'll be able to leverage that and fairly earn what they're worth compared to the rest of the world, right? It's going to disrupt the entire job market. Whenever people come to me and they're like, hey, I'm looking for a developer, I'm willing to pay 6-7 figures for fucking all these things, and I go, you want to hire one person with that? I can get you 6 more hardworking and more talented Indonesian developers who will work and be grateful, and they'll follow instruction, and they'll think outside of the box, and it'll be great. And so for me, the vision is seeing more Indonesians in the international market, getting paid what they're worth, and me having my villa and having all my friends with me. That's it.
That's a beautiful vision, man. Wow. That feels like such a natural place to end, but it's not, because it's something I want to say. So one of the, you've seen the connection that we have, right? Another one of the reasons why we connect, and many people in this room, like the one who's trying to run off, Adrian and Ichi, of course, and everyone here, is that, what we see is an ecosystem in Bali and Indonesia at large, but Bali is, for most people who are foreigners, a gateway to Indonesia, for most, right? So that's why I refer to Bali. So we see it as an ecosystem which has enormous potential to create this skilled migration, right? Skilled tourism, and also to, I'm not sure if the right word is expose, I think it's more like share the culture and beauty of this incredible place, Bali and Indonesia at large. So we are in to support, to nurture, and help to grow this ecosystem. So if you're wondering, again, this is Speak Up Monday, Destination Indonesia, for a reason, right? So if you're watching this and maybe you're somewhere else in the world, could be Australia, could be London, like mine, where I'm from, London, or somewhere else, and you're wondering, what has Bali got to offer? What has Indonesia got to offer? I would invite you not to look at the clickbait that you kind of see every now and again, but check out the episodes that we've done. We've done over 375. This is 375. So there's so much data in there, so much stories of the people which are here, their heart, their soul, their body, everything about them, and that will give you a better idea. The second thing, obviously, I'm wearing this T-shirt called The Funding, and one of the things like NFT Bali is doing is that The Funding is a platform which is underpinning and supporting entrepreneurism and investment in Indonesia. 6 different divisions that we facilitate that through, from TV show like the Shark Tank, to podcast, to venture fund, to the first association for foreign investors in Indonesia, the first one. So watch this space, it's coming soon. It's called IFIA, and we'll share some more information about that coming soon, and so on. So the live event division, at the end of July, we're going to do the best AI conference in Asia, held in Bali, and that will be coming at the end of July, so just about 5 weeks away, that we'll let you know about. And again, this is about how do we underpin, support, and nurture entrepreneurism here in Indonesia, leveraging both Indonesian and foreigners working together to do that. Right? So this is what I'm very excited about, that's coming up very soon. We'll do an episode devoted to it, I think, in the next couple of weeks. But as a closing word, Ty, you've been an amazing guest, and just want to acknowledge your beautiful partner, Bella, who some of you may know, who is an incredible woman from Sydney as well. I know where she's from. I won't mention it on camera. Right? Just a wonderful couple who are doing incredible things for Indonesia and foreigners alike, which I absolutely love. So look, any closing words before I obviously thank Tropical Nomad, Sister Ayu, Brother Guzman, Hadis, Brother Ichi, amazing, right? There he is. And by the way, while I give him time to think about what he's going to say, little nudge. So after this, we're going to do a photo. So everyone who's here, we're going to invite you up here. We're going to have this photo just to kind of capture and remember this moment. And everyone here is invited to come and join us, all right? So that's coming up straight after this. Thank you, Brother Marlo. And that's why you should come here, people. So as a closing word, Tyrone Williams, NFT Bali, the collective solution. Is there anything that you're feeling that you'd like to add or reiterate, or something that's dropping in now to leave us with?
Yes, but I'm going to preface it with something else.
Of course you will.
Have you taken 375 photos after the show? Yes or
no? We only started this about 6 episodes ago.
Okay. Because I was like, you know what we should do? That's a use case for you. Yeah. Go and mint all those photos as NFTs. Wow. And then you can use that for like fundraising for charity, for whatever, right? And they can have additions, and we'll talk about that again. Yeah. And so it wouldn't be on brand if I wasn't cheeky at least twice in one episode. So everybody here remembers, and the 1,000 people watching, this man is getting one of our Genesis NFTs. Now I'm going to ask another cheeky question.
Oh, gosh.
What's the likelihood?
Yeah.
What are the chances? How excited would you be to have the funding present at next year's NFT Bali?
Yes.
All right.
We're in.
Excellent.
Yes. That's it.
Excellent. Well, let's shake on it. Amazing. And I'm just going to close off with gratitude. I've been in a little bit of a funk today. I couldn't shake this funk feeling. And I was like, oh, no, I'm going to SpeakuP Monday. I wish I was more prime, I feel prime now. So you've given me that gift, all of you. I appreciate everybody taking the time. Time is the most valuable thing, so thank you all. I'll be here for a little while after this, and I'd love to meet anybody who would like to meet me. Rob, just amazing. Thank you. Thank you for doing what you do, and looking forward to many, many more episodes. He said he's never missed one. I'm looking forward to the 1,000th episode. 1,000th episode. And that's it, man. Stay blessed, be a blessing.
Thank you, brother. Everyone, Tyrone Williams, round of applause. Thank you very much.